There's a lot of platforms out there, but you can have one message and learn how to use each of the platforms differently for what you're looking for in terms of attracting the right patients. My name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist. And over 10 years ago, I started my therapy clinic. And over 5 years ago, I started Hand Therapy Secrets to help therapists become certified hand therapists and to have more choices in their career. And one of the choices is opening your own business. So I want to share with you what's working for what I'm talking about, the message and the different platforms. I'm going to share with you what is working and what hasn't worked for me, because I think that's going to be really important when you are thinking about your own business and what you want to do. So they always say, start with one platform, right? But nowadays with social media and how noisy it's out there, you almost have to start a little bit more. So I actually started with 2 platforms. I started on Instagram and YouTube were are still to this day my 2 biggest platforms. Instagram connects with Facebook, so they're kind of the same thing, but it's like, where do you want to put your focus? Are your customer population on Facebook, or are they on Instagram, right? So when I started out in my clinic those many years ago, Facebook was it, but I personally liked Instagram, so I just kind of played on Instagram. I'm a big fan of YouTube as well, so I started there, but since then there's been like so many more platforms. And I forgot that of course there's LinkedIn and stuff like that too, business to business. Some people just love that platform, and based on their business, they like to use that. Personally, it hasn't really done it for me from a clinic. I did some stuff on it. I'll share what I did on it. So LinkedIn is good business to business. So if you're marketing to doctors, you're marketing to adjusters and case managers, like if you're marketing to in-network type of facilities, you're connecting with those bigger corporations, right? So if that's the thing that you are doing for your business because you want to be insurance-based, then that might be a really good space for you. Initially I was, but I've moved more towards direct marketing. Like who do I want to speak to directly versus going through the doctors and going through other insurance and yada yada yada. So I'm going directly. So I want to share with you what I've been doing. So on Instagram, now you might have heard this, maybe you haven't, but you're supposed to take your long form and then you cut it into short form, right? So this is long form. I make videos that are 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even 20 minutes. And then from this, I cut it down into smaller bite-sized pieces, right? So now you can't just do that. You also have to do what's called short form creation. So making 1 minute reels or 1 minute videos. So reels and shorts and stuff like that. But now it can go up to 3 minutes. I know, it's a lot of shit. It's a lot. So, but you signed up for this because you want it. You wanted a certain lifestyle. You want to be able to make a certain amount of money. You want to break that glass ceiling, right? So this is the work we have to do. And one of the things I've realized is like, stop saying this shit is hard. Just do it. Like, instead of saying, oh my God, it's so hard, say, what do I need to do to make this easier? And watching this video can make your life a little bit easier, right? If you're kind of like not sure about what to do, watching this maybe can give you some insight into how you can go about creating it. And personally, if you want my help, my link's below. We can, get on my email list. I send an email out every Wednesday sharing like some of these tidbits, but I share more in there. So let me share with you what I'm doing on TikTok, right? So I have been playing around with TikTok on both sides of my business just to kind of see who I can attract and who's there, who's coming in. And on the clinic side, I have brought in, I've had a few patients that have come in from TikTok just sharing. They're like, where are you located? Blah, blah, blah. But also, like, remember your current patients are on social media looking as well, So just them seeing you is also reaffirming for them. I have a patient who's 65. He's been coming for a long time. He will keep coming as long as I keep him happy, right? And he poo-pooed social media. He's got big business, poo-pooed social media. And all of a sudden he's been like playing on TikTok. Who is not playing on TikTok? I'm playing on TikTok, right? He's playing on TikTok. He's like, I see you everywhere. I'm like, good. Am I saying anything like worth listening to? Every single time he comes in now, he's kind of like, bitch, I see you everywhere. I love it. So I, on TikTok, just decided, to record a conversation, like real candid. So the great thing about TikTok is like it's a very candid platform, right? It's a very candid platform. You're talking as if you're talking to your friend, you're talking as you're sharing a story. Like it's just fun. Whereas like it's on the other end of the spectrum of LinkedIn. You have to be professional, you have to be like hoity-toity, like whatever. TikTok is a lot more casual. So I was recording me having a conversation with my patient. My patients say yes. I'm all like, girl, you mind if I record? And I put it and it's facing me. I'm having a conversation with her about like leg muscles. I was like, did you know that this and this? And I'm not going to go into the whole like TikTok. You can look for it. But I had a question come in, a scenario come in. So I'm talking candidly with my patient. She tells me, I was like, did you know that this muscle goes here and this muscle does this and that it causes this kind of problem? And she was like, no, I didn't know that. And we forget as therapists, as experts, that we know so much more information than the regular person who's not a therapist. And even therapists sometimes get caught up in being a patient themselves. Like, I have tons of stories on that too. But that story, that little clip that I shared, it was probably 10 minutes. Here's number 2, if you're counting. Like, besides TikTok being a certain type of platform, it creates what's called mid-form content. So if you have Instagram that tends to be very short form content, and then you have YouTube that is considered very long form content, or can be, TikTok is mid form, right? So it can go up to 10 minutes on there. So you have a lot more time to have a conversation with someone, right? You can, and that platform is all about community conversations. I was amazed how many comments that I had in that video. Let me go check that. Let me go check that channel. So it's called Hands OTS. That's my clinic name. But that, and you could watch, you just have to have 1 or 2 kind of like pop. And I'm not, from a therapist standpoint, I'm not trying to become viral. I'm not trying to get millions of views. I'm trying to help a potential client, customer. Oh, let me turn this. So you can look at the insight. This video has gotten 5,600, 700 odd views, and I've gotten 115 new followers from it, just from talking about something so simple, right? I was talking about knee pain. So the video is, knee pain is not always from the knee. It just happened to be about the knee. I know I'm a hand therapist, like, I'll go into that a little bit later if you want me to. But I was having that type of conversation with a patient of mine, and people can hear her conversing with me, and then I would repeat, and I was just explaining something that was so simple to me, and she didn't know, and she was like, I only knew after you told me, Huang. And I was like, oh my God. That video took off, and I have so many comments. I have 52 comments as it is, right? So you can do something in terms of where you're sharing some kind of information that someone doesn't know. But I don't think that, as therapists, we sometimes think that we have to be so formal and that we have to be like, well, the origin and the insertion. Like, nobody gives a shit. Like, no one cares. They just want to know, like, they want to know that you know enough to fix them. That's it. So I got a ton of comments from it. It's not about the comments, it's not about the views, but it's about the eyeballs. If more people watch and more people comment, then my video gets pushed out to more people around. And in that video, you can tag your location. So I'm not trying to reach everybody and their mother around the world, even though it does. I'm trying to reach a pocket of people who live in Miami, because that's where my clinic is located, who will be able to find me based off of what they saw, because like I popped up for them, right? Now here's another one I shared. So you can just share your knowledge. Now I'm going to share with you another video I did for Hand Therapy Secrets, and I'm going to tell you the strategy of it. And let me look. So I did a video on, the title is Who's Trying to Professional Police You? right? So as an educator here at Hand Therapy Secrets, I'm sharing my perspective. Go watch my other videos on your marketing message. And, I am sharing my perspective. I'm encouraging you as a therapist to share your perspective. And the thing is sometimes your perspective is not liked, right? So here's this video. People are so riled up. This video was also like 6,000 views from a clinic standpoint. Obviously, I mean, not a clinic standpoint, from a, OT hand therapy space. It's a small pocket of people. Like if I'm talking about knees and knee pain, like I can reach billions of people, right? But if I'm trying to reach a therapist, my pocket of people is really small. There's only so many millions of therapists, and then only so many of those people, hundreds of thousands, they're interested in hand therapy, right? It's very small. So I got like 50 new followers, but I have 37 comments. And you know what happens is when you have comments, you respond, right? So it's not that I got 37 comments. I'm just reading it off. I had half of that, and then I responded to all of them, and so that's how I got to more comments. But comments, like that engagement, allows you to show up more and get more eyeballs onto the thing that you're doing. So what I did there was I talked about something that was controversial. It's not fucking controversial. Everyone talking about everyone else's. I mean, like, we're all still in high school, like we're just older. Add 20, 30 years to that. We're all still in high school. Well, you shouldn't tell me this and that, right? You shouldn't talk bad about OTs. I'm not talking bad about OTs. I'm actually just sharing a perspective that how I get police. Like, this is my point of view, right? But what that does is it gets comments in there. It gets people looking, and it gets people engaged. And I think that when you are thinking about growing your clinic, right, you're thinking about growing your business. Like I've got both. I have to think about developing thicker skin, essentially, right, to some of the negative comments. Now, here's the thing, like, anyone looking at me thinks that I have really thick skin. But as it turns out, I don't. I'm just kind of realizing this about myself, but it's not as thick as you think. People still be hurting my feelings, right? Or I get kind of angry about some comments. But the thing of the thick skin is that you are learning to let some of that go in order to be bolder and be braver about your message, because you're not looking for everybody. You're just looking for the few that resonate with what you're trying to do. So on my clinic side, the people who are resonating with me are the people who appreciate how I'm educating them. You're probably thinking, oh, there's so many people already doing it. I get it. I was there too. I was thinking, oh, well, they're watching this person. They're watching that person. Like, they want, no. I started sharing my perspective. I started sharing my style. And, people are saying, wow, I really like how you explain it. And when you get some of that positive feedback, you have to amplify the positive feedback over the negative feedback. Oh, I think once, long time ago, when I was talking about scarring and I was trying to explain, and I was using the word like, breaking up scar, some asshole, right? Some person that was really, particular about the language of it, coming from it sounded like a very academic side, was like, that's not true. Things don't break up. And I'm like, I'm talking to the everyday person, they're not going to understand your terminology, like this very high level from the textbook terminology, right? So you have to get past that in order to be able to put your message out. You can have one message and you can be across platforms, but across the different platforms, you just have to show up a little differently. So I'm playing around on TikTok and I'm showing up more casually. On Instagram, maybe I'm a little bit more formal. On YouTube, I'm definitely a little bit more formal, but I like to be playful, right? So, I have the playful side to me, so I'm not hiding that at all. So, but I guess what I'm saying is on TikTok, I feel like I can be even more casual, like I'm talking to, just this one person or sharing a particular story just in a little different way so that it resonates for people on that platform. Like, let me know if that makes sense to you. But that's what I'm doing. Now, here is where it went wrong. If you're still watching, here's where it went wrong for me so that you can, not make this mistake, or to be reminded, right? Because I didn't do this and then I forgot and then I started doing it. Like, you start to get too technical on the thing. So from the clinic standpoint, I'm trying to attract patients to come. I bought a new technology as an additional service to my clinic, right? And I want to service a very particular pocket of people with pain. They don't want injections and they don't want surgery, right? I am looking to talk to those people. I feel very strongly about keeping my original parts, growing old with better movement and stuff like that. I feel very strongly about that, just because personally I've seen stuff, right? So whatever it is that you have. So what I started doing was, instead of talking about the problem, instead of sharing like fundamentally, this is what I believe and this is how you can fix it and these are the things that you can use, I started talking about the thing. I started talking about the machine. I started talking about the technology. You know what kind of comments I started getting? It wasn't like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Let me call your clinic. No. You know what I got? I got therapists coming into my DMs, leaving comments and saying, oh, can you tell me more about that technology? And I want to use that technology. You always know when you're doing something wrong, right? Wrong is relative. Wrong meaning like, oh shit, I lost my message in there. How did I lose my message again, right? I lost my message because you're attracting the wrong people. This happened to me. I mean, it's happened before, but there was a click over 10 years ago when I started sharing stuff on my clinic. I'm trying to get patients to come in and pay me for my services. And what did I get? I was getting therapists asking me questions. How do you do wound care? How do you stretch a joint? Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing the same thing again. So we all need these reminders, right? Who reminds us? Well, one, you can get mentorship and coaching, right? Two, you pay attention to your comments, and your comments only come after you've been sharing your perspective for a while. So get off your lazy ass, stop being scared of being seen, and start sharing your message. Start sharing the thing that you're passionate about, and start sharing how you can help people through the education. If you didn't watch the educational video, watch the video where I'm talking about how to educate, because I think that's really important in this day and age when we are fighting the noise to find and attract the people that we want to work with. All right. Again, my name is Huang. If you want to be on my email list, the link is below, and there's different ways to work with me, so they're down there. If you like this video and you have questions around the platforms and what I'm doing in response to this video, for sure, leave me a comment. All right. Thanks.